Hello, I'm Dan Marr from the law firm of Hamblett Kerrigan in Nashua, New Hampshire. I've been practicing for approximately 36 years in New Hampshire and about 28 years in Massachusetts. And in today's vlog, I'm going to be talking about an employer's handling of political speech coming up in the workplace. So we have elections coming up. We have a gubernatorial election with, I think it seems like it's going to be a Chuck Morse and Kelly Ayotte are going to be running. And then we're going to also have presidential elections, being current President Biden and past President Trump. And irrespective of your political views as the employer, you want to deal with harmonious relationships in the workplace. And we're going to be talking about political speech in the workplace and how that affects your operation of your business, because obviously you want your business to be running smoothly. So we're going to be talking about that today, and I want to discuss the difference between people talking about their political views. Frankly, I find it best to recommend to people stay away from talking about their political views, but banning that in the workplace, you may not want to do that other than telling people to work when they're supposed to be working. Not going off into a diatribe about their political views when they're not getting their work done. So that's certainly something that you can deal with. But on a business purpose, you may want to allow people to be able to talk about their views as long as they're not disruptive. But I want to start off with the basic premise of the law on this, is that there is no freedom of speech in the private workplace. People think that they have a constitutional right of freedom of speech, and therefore they should be able to talk about politics, whether they're like Trump or Biden or anything else, progressive, conservative, whatever their views are. They want to be able to discuss that, and they say, well, that's my constitutional right. Not accurate. The constitutional right of freedom of speech is dealing with the government's effect on your freedom of speech. As a private employer, and you're being the private employer as the owner, you don't have that obligation. In the public workforce, when you're a teacher at the school district or something like that, or police officers, fire department, any state or town agencies, there's a little bit more freedom of speech that you have, because again, that's a government as your employer dealing with the issues. But as a private workplace, you don't have that. Now, I start off with that premise so people understand that, because people think I have the right to freedom of speech in the workplace because it's my constitutional right. No, you don't have that. Now, there are some regulations dealing with what you can talk about in the workplace. There's a National Labor Relations Act that specifically, and while it deals a lot with unions, whether or not you're a union shop or a non-union shop, and most of us are non-union shops, you still have something called concerted activity, and you have to allow employees to talk amongst themselves about concerted activity. Concerted activity is stuff in the workplace. I don't like my boss. I think my boss is dating somebody and giving them too much overtime. He's a lousy boss. She's a lousy boss. I don't think our work conditions are appropriate. I think we should be paid more. The people across the street and doing the same job, our competitors, are paying better than this. Or you want to even discuss amongst yourselves your wages. While I don't suggest that it's prudent for you to discuss what your wages are, for one, you may not want to know the answer to the question, and while you think you do, you may not when you find out about it. But also, it doesn't help you move up. So while you can talk about the workplace, if you're trying to move up the corporate ladder, being the one who's complaining about the workplace or talking to your fellow employees about the workplace, you certainly can do so. And I'm not discouraging you, but in the right circumstances, you may want to be a little more conservative in your conversations in regards to the workplace if you're wanting to try to move up in that employer. If you're not trying to move up in that employer, this is a particular one-time job, and you want to make sure that people don't get taken advantage of, you do have protection of talking about your work-related activities with your fellow employees, as long as you're not management. When you're in management, that concerted activity is not there. But back to political speech, you don't have that political speech right. I do recommend for bosses that you deal with this on the political speech outside of them making sure that they're doing the work that they're supposed to be doing, because that's important, not talking political speech when they should be doing their work. but also looking at it as, does it get into a heated conversation? One of the reasons I suggest people shouldn't be talking about political speech in the workplace is I might be working right next to Jack, my coworker. We're both working on the manufacturing floor. And I like Jack, but when I find out that he has a different political view than I do, I lose some respect for him. Maybe I shouldn't, and frankly, I encourage the listeners that they shouldn't. But you want your workers to work harmoniously, and it's sometimes better for them not to have strong feelings. Certainly, they can't unscramble that egg when they say something bad to Jack. If I said something bad to Jack and say, I can't believe you believe in the previous president or the current president because of X, Y, and Z, I'm going to be hurting Jack's feelings, and we're not going to be as cohesive a team as we used to be. So it's, as a boss, you're going to be concerned about that type of conversation when somebody's talking about what their political view is and why the other side is wrong because they don't share the same political view. So those things you can control in the workplace. If you have questions, you can give me a call at Dan Marr at 603-883-5501, 603-883-5501, or check out our website, NashuaLaw.com. I've been dealing with representing employers for many, many years. I also represent some execs too in a variety of circumstances, but in this situation, happy to talk to anybody at HR or the owners of the company if you want to talk about how you deal with a policy going forward, particularly through the elections that are coming up later this year. So happy to talk to you. Thank you.